In a world where the narrative around sexuality is often distorted by commercial and superficial perspectives, the ancient practice of sacred sexuality emerges as a beacon of holistic health and spiritual liberation, rooted in the belief that sexual energy is a potent force for physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Sacred sexuality offers a transformative approach to understanding and embracing our most intimate selves. What is sacred sexuality? At its core, sacred sexuality is the understanding that our sexual energy is a source of life, creativity, and spiritual power. Unlike the often commodified view of sex in modern society, sacred sexuality sees it as a path to spiritual growth and connection. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Greeks, and Indians have long revered sexuality as sacred. And sexuality is sacred. And it's interesting that when Rome came to power and created the church, that they had to distort sexuality for whatever reason. I really don't, but to make people so fearful of it that people can have through sexual union. But it also has made it very okay. People, they're not out here trying to connect. They're not out here trying to have any spiritual kind of experience with another person. Because for men, it's about busting and getting a quick nut. And we don't learn any of these things because this practice is frowned upon by Christian mindset. It's, it's not too many people that are even interested in this type of knowledge because of what keeps being put out to them through social media and other forms of media as well. And like I said, very barbaric, very, very barbaric. And it's way deeper than that. Sacred sexuality is not a modern concept. It has been revered for centuries in various cultures, from the tantric tradition of India to the mystical practices of ancient Egypt. At its heart, sacred sexuality is the recognition of sexual energy as a source of life, creativity, and spiritual power. So just want to reiterate that part. Make sure you really understand what sexual energy is the source of. Sexual intimacy as a sacred act that goes beyond physical pleasure, encompassing emotional depth and spiritual connection. Guys, physical pleasure is great, but when we start to advance and we start to, really go up in frequency, or a point where you are having some emotional depth and also a spiritual connection to it. And this is where you can also kind of get into what people may call like sex magic, and utilizing that to manifest the things that you want to bring about in life. This is why human connection is so important, and connecting with dolls or robots, anything that doesn't have a soul attached to it. We're doing it for the sake of pleasure and not doing it for the different kind of health benefits that it brings, when it comes to having an emotional connection, which brings a lot of empathy and just all types of stuff. There's so many benefits. Embracing sacred sexuality isn't just a spiritual journey. It's a path to better health. Engaging in sacred sexuality offers numerous health benefits. Physically, a fulfilling sexual life is linked to improved immune function, better cardiovascular health, and overall physical vitality. Okay. That sounds just as good as going to the gym. It also plays a crucial role in mental and emotional well-being. Studies suggest that a healthy sexual connection can reduce stress, enhance mood, and foster deep emotional bonds between partners. The intentional and mindful approach of sacred sexuality, where emphasis, connection, and mutual respect amplifies these benefits. I could tell you what, right now out here in society, y'all definitely ain't trying to connect, and you definitely don't got no mutual respect for no one. And that's why both men and women, y'all out here toxic. Y'all out here toxic because y'all being barbaric with it. You're being too barbaric. You know, where is the benefit? Where is the enlightenment aspect? Like, I don't understand this culture of, oh, how many bodies, catching bodies and all this stuff is really weird. I find it really strange because, at least for, men have to get out of this whole thing of this whole perspective of trying to find a virgin. And that's why men are so worried about women's body count and stuff like that is so irrelevant of who she's deciding to connect with her body. Like you have some say so in that. It's strange. Really, really strange. Because that shouldn't really be an issue, because it's like, it's one of those things where for guys it's okay, but for women it's frowned upon. And it's frowned upon because of colonized Christian mindset thinking. And it's regardless if y'all go to church or not, it don't matter. It's so deep and rooted into the culture of humanity that it's already DNA in you because of our ancestors having to experience all this kind of stuff. So it just makes everything very strange that you think a woman who is you got the virgin syndrome. Just like how people got the Santa Claus syndrome, you got the virgin to the virgin spectrum. She good, she cool. That means she a good woman. That don't mean nothing. And not to mention, like, why do you not want a experienced woman anyway? Because it ain't like you men out here is knowing what the fuck y'all doing with sex anyway. Because like I said, y'all fuck like barbarics. So I don't understand what you're going to be teaching this close to a virgin woman. It makes no sense. Anyway, let's continue on. Central to sacred sexuality is the concept of honoring and loving one's body. In a society plagued by unrealistic beauty standards and body shaming, embracing body positivity is revolutionary. Sacred sexuality encourages individuals to view their bodies as temples of the soul spirit, deserving of love and respect. This acceptance fosters self-confidence and deepens the sexual experience, making it more fulfilling and spiritually enriching. Self-love and acceptance are not just good for our mental health, they directly influence our sexual experiences. Man, that is true. I know some of y'all listen to this. I know that one probably hit, right? I know it did. Because self-love and acceptance is so important, and that should be the number one thing all humans should be working on. It's the main thing that really helps you be the best version of yourself when you understand self-love and acceptance. Why? Because self-love and acceptance equals unconditional love. I'm gonna let you think about that for a minute. Self-love and acceptance equals unconditional love, meaning that there are no conditions. And that's what most of y'all toxic people do to each other. Expectations on people makes it unrealistic. It does. Now, I'm all about health and being healthy, and I don't encourage or condone people to be unhealthy, but we need to be and look the best with the body type that we've been given. Not everybody's not going to be some kind of stick. Not everybody's not going to be muscular. You know, this is the beauty of life, guys. It's so many different body types. We need to embrace and accept all of them. We have to accept all of them and make sure that all body types are also healthy body types as well. We can't neglect that, because I see some people out here that think body positivity is also accepting an unhealthy body. Absolutely not. That's not body positivity. And trying to incorporate that with body positivity, no, I don't agree with that. One thing that the universe was really showing me a lot last year was the importance of health and making sure that we stay healthy, because that's important. You can't tell me you out here doing light work and whatever else kind of work and you're not taking care of yourself. You know, you have to putting the right nutrients in your body and making sure that you're optimizing your physical self is important. Don't neglect that. I see a lot of so-called spiritual people neglect their bodies, and it makes it really strange. Definitely don't do that to yourself. Incorporating sacred sex begins with self-awareness and communication. It involves cultivating an open and honest dialogue with oneself and one's partner about desires, boundaries, and emotional needs. Practices such as mindfulness and meditation can enhance the connection to one's body and to a partner. That's very true, especially when you start getting into tantra, and for men, understanding how to connect with a woman's flame. So, but only men who, want to be advanced and love women, they'll look into that. All right. They allow individuals to engage in sexual activities with full presence and intention, transforming the act into a deeply intimate and spiritual experience. Can you imagine if the whole world did this? I promise you, y'all would think you was in heaven or in 5D or whatever you guys think is supposedly some divine best place to be. You would already think that if everyone did this. Man, let me tell you guys something. Human connection is so important. It's so important to connect, because the moment we come out the womb, the first connection that we have is with our mother. So for a person being born, that's God to you. You're like, oh my goodness. The connection, the love. it's important to feel that, females have such an important role in that. That's why females have been attacked the most throughout history. We can forget about all the skin tone shit. Play it out. But the real attack has been on females for a very, very long time. Because that's the number one connection with the womb. And if that gets screwed up, because we're not making it safe out here for women, we're not making it sacred out here for females. So what we're doing is that we're playing into these dark energies of putting the feminine principle down in life, when actually she's the most important principle in life. But I know y'all little boys don't want to hear that, though. Y'all little baby boys don't want to hear that. I find it funny, especially when I hear grown rappers talking about that, you can suck on me and do all that stuff, but it depends on if I want to eat the pussy, I guess. But best believe I'll beat the pussy up, though. Barbaric. You don't even understand the sacred waters of the yoni. You don't understand none of that. A lot of men, very immature when it comes to this information, when it comes to sexuality. Little boys. Why? Because they haven't had no good male role models around to even talk about stuff like this. So men that know this information, man, we got to start sharing more of this, especially those that all here on social media. And I be seeing some dudes that be talking about sacred sexuality. Some of y'all I don't remember your names or whatever, but I be peeping y'all on Instagram and some people on like TikTok and stuff. So I definitely be seeing y'all. We may need to get together and put together some kind of men's group and get these little boys in shape. Start introducing a new kind of masculinity, because the women's already doing it. The females, they're already doing this stuff. The men's a little bit lacking in this, but we're going to change that, perspective, and guests come on and talk about sacred sexuality and tantra and stuff, because they specialize in it. So it'd be good to get a chance to chat with some experts and dive a little bit deep. But, I wanted to do this episode to kind of lay the foundation of sacred sexuality, because a lot of people we have to change society, and talking about things that other people are uncomfortable because, I don't know, they're prude or they got some shame or guilt. I don't know, whatever it is, we got to heal from it. So there needs to be a lot of healing on sexuality, and not this immature shit that I see with adults, because we need to have acceptance, and it doesn't matter. So let's continue. Perhaps the most profound aspect of sacred sexuality is its liberating power. By embracing this practice, individuals break free from societal constraints and misconceptions surrounding sexuality. It allows them to explore their desires and boundaries in a safe, respectful, and loving environment. This liberation extends beyond the bedroom, influencing other areas of life by instilling a sense of inner peace, confidence, connection to the universe. I like to feel liberated, and everyone should feel liberated when it comes to sexuality. Is who people choose to want to engage intimacy with. Very strange. Very strange how we judge people off of that. Whether that be bisexual, transgender, gay, lesbian, like, guys, stop the immature shit. Understand what I'm saying? Like, be open minded and allow people to experience what they want to experience.